name is Tyler Sutherland, and I play Kurt Wagner, Nightcrawler. To prepare for the role of Nightcrawler, I spent about a week before the audition watching as many Nightcrawler YouTube videos as I could. I had the idea of what he sounded like. I had the mannerisms of how he walked, but probably the oddest thing that I did was rubber band my fingers together and actually practice doing tricks, kicks, flips, sword fighting, just so in case they asked me about if I was comfortable with that kind of performance and moving around like the character, I'd be able to. And it was a little awkward, but after I did it, it actually felt more natural. My favorite part as playing Nightcrawler was definitely Nightcrawler's origin episode. Shooting that gave me so much insight into the actual character of Kurt, and found some similarities even though I didn't have a demon parent and couldn't teleport just yet. But learning about the character was a very different tale. I found the Origins comic book about a week before we started filming, found the similarities between that, and saw the differences in how they chose to film certain angles, which characters they decided to keep, and it gave a lot of insight into what goes into actually building from the comic book your base material, from all of the fandom that comes with Nightcrawler, to the actual finished art that we hopefully produce for you. Nightcrawler's costume has gone through 2 stages so far. For Season 1, it was a little bit more baggy, but for Season 2 we went definitely with the more sleek approach. We started with just a basic Zentai suit that you see in Power Rangers, standard black. It stops at the neck, the hands and the feet. For the feet we used samurai tabi boots, or ninja boots, which have 2 toes, which actually worked out perfect for Nightcrawler. The tail was composed of just a black cord that you used for hiking and climbing. Sew that up with some nice blue velvet and put a spade at the end, tie it around your belt, and it comes out as a perfect tail. For the costume in itself, we have one of our wonderful makeup and costuming people go in and stitch all of the red lining that comes with Nightcrawler's costume. We started out with red duct tape, and it looked nice, but it wasn't going to hold up for the whole season. After our makeup and costuming people finished with the costume, we tried it on, and it was a perfect fit. The only thing that we didn't change, or that we considered changing, was making a hole in the back, so that way we could actually tie the belt to my stomach on the skin, and the tail would stick out. And the problem with that, though, is that when the tail's not there, you see my white shiny tail, and we weren't going to have that. Java won't want that. Nightcrawler's powers are teleportation, as well as adhesively sticking to certain materials, usually walls. He also has features such as 2 thumbs and 2 main huge fingers. Those don't really go as far as powers. Another power he has is that when he creeps into the shadows, he turns visibly invisible. Nightcrawler's episode starts with Nightcrawler coming directly from Jean's funeral. He's still in his funeral attire. He goes straight to his home church, not his home church, but a local church that he's been attending to ever since he's been brought back to the States to live with the X-Men. He meets up with his father, the pastor, not his actual father, and begins to tell his sins and his tale. We see young Nightcrawler, we see Nightcrawler's father, who you saw in X-Men First Class as Azazel, the red teleporting demon character. As we jump forward a little bit in time, you find out that Nightcrawler joined the circus, and the circus provided him with somewhat of a security net in that while the lights were on, he was the incredible Nightcrawler. But as soon as the lights went off, he was just another freak. and unlike most mutants, you could tell about his mutant condition just by looking at him. He didn't develop into his powers, he was more born into them. As soon as he gets the chance, his adoptive mother breaks him out, frees him from the circus, and it's at that point he's confronted by the circus leader and his thugs. Nightcrawler develops his powers, uses them to escape, and at the last second, Charles Xavier saves him and recruits him for his team. We jump back to the church, and the pastor is attacked by Azazel. And as soon as Azazel confronts Nightcrawler, there's a somewhat trade-off of Luke, I am your father. Nightcrawler doesn't really grasp it though. There's a very cool fight scene, and after the fight scene with teleporting and sword fights and everything, we end the episode. Nightcrawler will be the most favorited episode, or most favorited character that I've ever had the experience and pleasure of playing. It took a little bit of getting used to as far as the makeup goes, but as far as I'm getting used to it, the makeup and costuming people have gotten even more efficient. What used to take hours takes less hours now. The costume is amazing, the makeup is phenomenal, except for around the neck, which I hear they're going to start tattooing or painting or something that they haven't told me about yet. But as far as the character, I love him. I love playing Nightcrawler. When I got the call from the director Eric Green for the first season, I was in my kitchen just about to go to bed and had this slight feeling of, okay, maybe I'll stay up for 5 more minutes. And that was just it, me standing in the kitchen for no reason. I get the call 2 seconds later from Eric saying that he and the other cast and crew would love to have me as Nightcrawler. I'm not sure if he heard it across the phone, but I was teleporting and jumping as if it was a Glee episode, and I've never seen Glee before. I've loved the character and can't wait for what the directors decide to do for the next season. I'd play another character. I would play Jean Grey. No. Nightcrawler would be my favorite character. The makeup allows me to immerse myself in the character even more than if it was just a look-alike character. Luckily, we have several amazing actors and actresses that resemble the comic book characters and the characters created by Marvel and Stan Lee. But the makeup, once you put it on in the costume, as soon as you zip it up or have someone help you zip it up, it just helps you become a whole new character. I had several directors. I directed under Javakis Green, or Java, for the Nativity episode, Nightcrawler's origin episode. Another director I had was Eric Green for the Days of Future Past. I had an indirect director for Charles Xavier's episode, where I just provide a voiceover. And then I also had Zach. Zach was our Juggernaut director, and after we filmed that episode, that was seeing our actor Jay Peterson in the huge costume on. Actually, there was a moment when Jay had to go to the bathroom or get some water or something, and he handed me the helmet, and I'm in Nightcrawler makeup. And I wanted so bad to put that helmet on, but I knew he would notice it because of all the makeup. I would say each director had their pros and cons. Each director was very much like a different episode of Lost. It's the same story, but many different ways to tell it, many different ways it's filmed, many different ways it's shot. Some directors start on time, some have to adjust to different variables that happen. For instance, when we did Nightcrawler's episode, the rain started as soon as I was ready, and I think they'd filmed the Morlocks right before that, so that took up most of the daylight shots. But we kept going, plowed through, got some great footage, and did not stop for the rain. Nightcrawler melted a little bit, but it turned out great.